Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be modifying a pre-made gate, aka shortening the pre-made gate to fit in a certain hole. We're gonna be turning this continuous fence corner into this. Like I said, to do that, we're gonna have to shorten this pre-made gate. There's several different ways to go about shortening a gate. What we do in this video, we may not do in the next gate shortening project, simply because there's several different factors that go into the way that I did this gate, and in future projects, the situation may change. There's tons of different options. That's one of the reasons I love doing what I do. This right here, even though it's a very simple farm project, it's one of my favorite kind of projects just because it's making a situation work with what you got. If you're new around here, thanks for being here. My name's Austin Ross. I've been a welder for about 15 years. Here on this channel, I just share whatever projects that I get into, and I try to share what I learned from my mistakes to help you in your welding career, path, hobby, whatever you use welding for. I just want to utilize my mistakes to not only learn for myself, but to help you learn also. I also wanted to thank everyone who enrolled in the pipe fence course within the last couple of weeks. It just closed for enrollment this last Wednesday, but if you missed it and you're interested in catching the next pipe fence enrollment, you can go to arosswelding.school and get on the waiting list. You just punch in your email and we will send you an email whenever the pipe fence course opens back up for enrollment. For those of you that did enroll in the pipe fence course, we hope it's helpful. Let us know how it's going. We'd love to hear your feedback. We're going to continue to do mods to the pipe fence course whenever we get caught up on some things. Any course that we build, we want to continually add value to it in the future, so feedback is great. So if you're taking the pipe fence course and you've been all the way through it and there's questions you still have, let us know. You can email those questions to me at arosswelding@gmail.com, or you can just share a comment right there in the pipe fence course platform. Just let us know one way or another. That way we can take note of it and make the pipe fence course better. So far we've got lots of good feedback, but I'm a firm believer, and so is my wife Kayla, that there's always room for improvement. And we've already got a list of a couple of things that we plan on doing to the pipe fence course, like adding to it or modifying it in one way or another, because of feedback that we've got and or just because of things that we've thought of as we've moved along in our course building process. Thanks for your support. Let's get started with this gate modification. So to kick this project off, we basically just cut out some of this continuous panel. This here is the slang term, or the only term I know of is continuous panel. Pretty handy stuff as far as getting a lot of fence up in a timely fashion, but it can be kind of difficult to make it clean and make it flow right. That's just some of the issues with the little I've messed with it and that I've seen. If you've got a pretty level area, this kind of stuff works pretty good, but if you start getting into some like little rolling hills and whatnot, it can be kind of a pain to make it flow right. All that to say is I wanted to make sure to make the ends where I cut the panel out as clean as possible. So to do that, we pretty much went from this to this right here. I just dead-ended all of my pipe into the corner post. The previous welder that built all this tied it in like so, because if you look over the top where I've already tied it in, you can see that the continuous panel bows, and I had to bow it to get it to dead end to the corner. But in my opinion, it's safer and cleaner. So even though it bows at the top, it still is just safer and cleaner because it dead ends to the corner versus being up against the corner right where you're going to be passing through a lot, you know, with cattle or yourself. That just leaves an area, like if you just put it on the end versus dead ending it into your post. This right here means dead end versus up against it like so. Dead ending it just makes this way more smoother right here. So that was my goal, is to just dead end each side of where we cut out the panel. We also had to remove a post. Dakota done that with some jack stands. I didn't get any footage of that, but he just took 2 jack stands, ran a pipe across, and then used to come along and pulled the post out of the middle. On the other side of the gate, I actually welded the panel to the clips. So normally on this continuous panel, they make these clips to go over it and you just weld the clips to the post. That way the continuous fence can move with the earth, which is a great idea. So normally you wouldn't weld these, but in this case, I wanted to utilize this panel as the brace for the gate. So I welded the panel to the clip itself and then put a little more weld on the clip that was already on the post. And like I said, I dead-ended this side also into the post where the gate's going to be hanging. I used 1/8 60-10 to put a filler pass in each one of these pieces of pipe. This continuous panel is real thin. It's literally like 14 or 16 gauge. It's real thin, and I didn't even saddle it because it's only like 1 inch or something, so there's not much to saddle. So instead of taking the time to try to saddle it and fit it up, I just butt it up against the post, and then so therefore I had a little gap here and a little gap on the other side. I just used 1/8 60-10 to kind of fill in where my ears would normally go, and then I went over that with 332 70-18, and that's what you see here. It just looks a lot cleaner, and I feel better about it because 70-18 is just going to be stronger or less likely to crack. And since there's going to be a gate hanging off of this, I felt that 70-18 was necessary for that reason also. Once we got our panel cut out, our post pulled out, and we cleaned up our ends of our continuous panel, dead ended them, got them all looking nice and clean, we went ahead and took a measurement of our gap, and then we started modifying our gate. This is a 14-foot gate. On most of these pre-made gates, the measurement includes the hinges, so you have to measure from the end of your hinge to the front of your gate. And the measurement we needed was roughly 13'3" or something, and that's allowing for roughly 2 or 3 inch gap on the latch side. I always like to leave a little bit of a gap just for earth movement, because whenever the earth moves over the different seasons of a year, this gate will move up and down a little bit most likely. So I try not to ever put it real close to the post. That way it just allows for some movement of that gate over the year. So after measuring and figuring out what we needed, I figured up that we needed to take out roughly 11 inches of this gate. And to do that, I chose to go this route. And like I said at the beginning of this video, it's very situation dependent. With these pre-made gates being as thin as they are, from my experience, if you try to cut out one of the end pieces with like a torch or a zip disc, that end piece is so thin, because it's only 16 or 14 gauge, that it bows real bad. And then by the time you start cleaning on it with a torch or a grinder, it's going to be even more bowed because you're adding heat whenever you're running a torch on it, or even a grinder adds heat to it. And so it's just going to bow so bad that I chose to just cut it off flush like we have here. Take out 11 inches of this short piece and then weld it back on with 1/8 60-10. Another option, if a guy had a new piece of this same size of pipe that this gate is made out of, you could just cut that end piece off, saddle them pieces, clean up them saddles, or actually cut what you need out of it, resaddle it, and then you could put a new piece on, and then either put your hinges on or your chain and latch situation, depending on which end you decided to take out of, and then weld it back. That would be an option too, but in this case we didn't have any extra pipe, so I just decided to go the straight cut. At first I thought, well, maybe I should take it out of the back so it'd be less noticeable, but then again, with it being a thin gate, if we would have taken it out of the back, there'd have been that whole weight of the gate hanging from them welds, and so I decided to take it out of the front. That way there's only one little section that's hanging off them welds. I also decided against sanding the welds down because, again, with this gate being super thin, sanding the welds down would just affect the integrity of the gate. So since this is a farm project, durability and function is way more important than the looks of it in this situation. So I just put some 1/8 60-10 around it and left it alone, and I think it turned out pretty well. Once we got our 11 inches taken out, we made sure the gate was nice and level, and then we tacked up our top and bottom brace of our gate. And then we actually had to end up putting a come along in the middle because, like I mentioned, this is a very, very thin gate, and that end piece actually bowed a little bit. So we actually had to pull them pieces out to get them to line up with the bigger piece of the gate. So then there was a gap between the other roughly, I think, 4 pieces of pipe in the gate. So we just put that come along on there and we sucked those in, got them lined up, and then tacked those off. We did make sure and get down and eyeball it, make sure it didn't have a dog leg in it real bad or anything, because even though we leveled it up, again, with this pre-made gate being thin, you can put a level on this brace and it may show level, but you can go to the next brace and it'll be off. That's actually why I used a 4-foot level and just threw it across all the braces just to get it close to level. And then the other way, we just got it close to level also. Kind of found the happy medium of all the braces, got it as level as possible. But even though we got it as level as possible, we couldn't totally count on that. So before we welded anything out, we did get down and eyeball it to make sure that it was as straight as possible, or at least make sure it didn't have a real bad dog leg in it. Dog leg meaning like bend or kink in it. You know, we wanted to make sure it was in the same plane, if you will. Once we got the gate welded back up, it was time to hang the gate, and I actually forgot my gate jacks, but luckily I remember what I had to do before I had a set of gate jacks years ago, before I had ever seen the idea. I was able to fall back on this idea, which is what you see us doing here, using 4 jack stands and 2 pieces of pipe, and we got our gate hung that way. And even though this way isn't as quick as the gate jacks, there's actually a couple of little things that I liked about hanging it this way. One of them being, it was so much easier to move the gate back and forth. Like if this is the fence and this is the gate right here, it's easier to move the gate back and forth this way, because a lot of times whenever I'm hanging a gate, I'm trying to get it exactly center of the fence itself, so center of the post that we're going to be hanging it off of. And to do that, you got to kick the bottom of the gate jacks. Well, this way you just slide it on that pipe. So that is one thing that I liked about hanging it this way. But overall, the gate jacks are way quicker and way more enjoyable. And they're easier to hang a gate by yourself. If Dakota wasn't with me on this particular day, this would have been way more difficult to hang this gate with the way we're doing it right now. I would have had to jump over the fence several times and adjust the gate jacks, and it just would have taken a little bit longer. It would have been more of a pain, as to where the gate jacks are super handy whenever you're hanging a gate by yourself. If you're not sure what I'm talking about whenever I say gate jacks, check out our website, aroswelding.com/shop. Under digital prints, you should be able to find 3 different sets of prints, one of them being the gate jack prints. This way you can build your own set of gate jacks. Makes your job way more enjoyable if you have a lot of gates to hang, whether you're doing business for customers or you got a farm and you got a lot of gates to hang. Gate jacks are a lifesaver. So go check out our website for those. And here it is all finished up. Gates hung, it feels good. Everything's clean looking. It just is so satisfying. I absolutely love it. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you learned something. Thank you for all your support. If you have any questions or concerns, or you're not the DIY type and you're in Central Oklahoma, check out our website, aroswelding.com. Shoot me an email, aroswelding@gmail.com. We'll visit about your project. I hope you have an awesome weekend, and remember, learn something every day.